And we're back. There we go. Sorry about that. Last minute technical issue. All sorted. Unplug it and plug it back in. Okay, hi. So boost your website engagement with a related post section on your single post template. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Hi everyone, and welcome to the WP Quickies series, bite-sized WordPress tips and tricks in 30 minutes or less. I'm Will Brown, WordPress consultant and educator. I help WordPress designers and developers get more clients and grow their businesses. Before we start, just make sure you hit the subscribe button and ding the bell if you are on YouTube to get my latest videos. Now, connect with me on LinkedIn as well. And if you're watching on Facebook, give me a thumbs up. We've got a Facebook group, which is WordPress Sydney Meetup. So you can go in there and just ask any questions afterwards. If you've got some thoughts about things, you can just engage after this video on that, and I'll try my best to answer all your questions. Also, check out wpaustralia.org for a list of WordPress meetups around Australia. And there's also a link to our Slack group as well, which is our real-time chatting software. I'll leave that up for a second. Ding. Okay. So let's get on with the talk today. I also see who's in here. So we've got Alan from Annandale. Thanks for joining, Alan. And Greg as well says, hi, Will. Hi, Greg. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. Let's just get into this. Okay, so a common feature on blog websites is a section at the bottom or in a sidebar that displays your related posts, related articles that the reader may find interesting. So it begs the question, why should we have a related post section? What's going on there? Now, a related post section on your website is going to boost engagement with your readers and visitors. Now, it introduces your visitors to more of your content. It also increases your average time on site and decreases your average bounce rate metrics, which is excellent for SEO. Just a quick tip, if you're looking for bounce rates in Google Analytics 4, there aren't any. I might do a show about that later on. So anyway, keeping going on. If you have an affiliate links on your website, you of course want more visitors to come and consume as much content as possible so that they can see those links, click on those links, and so you can make money with that. So a related post section is a great way to also reuse your older content, get it in front of your audience for that. So there's lots of good reasons why you would want a related post section. We talked about affiliate. We've talked about it's good for SEO. It's good for you reviving your old content, your older content as well, and just generally engaging more with your audience. So here's a common beginner question I get asked. Where is the related post section in WordPress? I've been building my WordPress website. I've installed it. Where's the related posts in that? I can't find it anywhere. And even although WordPress was created as a blogging platform, there is no related post functionality in the core app. A bit astounding, but there you go. We need to use a plugin or a theme function to get the related posts on your WordPress website. So if you are a beginner, stop looking. It's nowhere. You need a plugin for related posts. Okay, so related posts versus popular posts. Now be careful when you are looking for a related posts plugin that you're not purchasing or using a popular post plugin instead. Now, related and popular post plugins, they differ in functionality quite a bit. Now, tagging posts, when people read them, is a very straightforward process of figuring out the most popular ones. So when somebody looks at your post on WordPress, some plugins will add a little counter in the database, so that the next time it's displayed, it just increments the counter one by one. And then it can figure out which is your most popular pages. However, figuring out if posts are related is much more complicated tasks. So don't get them confused. Popular post plugin via related post plugin. Very different beasties there. Now, a related post algorithm, that's the way it works out, how one post is related to another. It's going to must work out what the post's primary focus is to match it with other posts on your website. Now, the simplest method, the simplest algorithm to do that is to use something called keyword density matching. But there's other factors such as date, author, post title, the headings, the taxonomies, that's categories and tags. All this sort of stuff can be used and mingled together to build up a profile of that post so that then it can relate to the other posts in your website. Now, the related post algorithm can be computationally very heavy, especially if you have hundreds of blog posts to analyze. Now, that can strain your server resources if it's left unchecked and if that algorithm is running on your server, so the plugin itself is doing it, or it's not fully optimized for times when the server load is low, for example. So just be careful that some of these related post plugins, they kind of do it all themselves on the server. If you've got hundreds of posts, that's a lot of analysis that that algorithm needs to do. So, related posts in Page Builder. So the top Page Builder plugins. So we're talking about Elementor, Beaver Builder, Divi, Oxygen, those types of plugins. The top Page Builder plugins, they usually have a related post module or an element or widget or whatever it's called, or a query block. Now, Elementor, that's the one that I am most familiar with. Elementor has a posts widget that allows you to change the query parameters to show you whatever type of related post you need at that place on your page at that time. So I put a link there, and that's the elementor.com website. It's just talking about adding related posts to a page template for those. And there's a few little graphics there. It just shows you roughly what that looks like. So we've got the query block on the left-hand side. Maybe you can't see that too well. But you have things like source is related, and then you can exclude items by term, taxonomy, headings, that sort of stuff. You can also play around with the dates, the orders as well, just to kind of get that list of related posts that you want within your within your website. And there's an example here. So there's a Games of Thrones website here. I'm not too sure if it's run on Elementor or not, but that's the one that's on the website. And to the side, to the right-hand side, you can see a sidebar, and it's got related posts relative to that main article in there. So that's their engine up and running. I don't see too much heavy API or algorithm on the website. It just seems to work very, very well. So I'm not sure how they implement that related posts too much, but it seems to work very well for the Elementor websites. And I'm sure Beaver Builder and Divi and all those have something very, very similar. So that's related posts in page builders. In general, you don't need another plugin. If you've got a page builder, it's most likely going to be built into the page builder itself in that sort of form of like a query block that you can manipulate. Okay, let's have a look at some themes. Well, not what's one theme. So related posts in the Astra theme. Let's look at Astra in general. Now, I know a lot of themes have everything under the sun. Not a lot of them actually do have a related post section, but Astra is one of them. So the popular Astra theme, it has this related post feature built into the theme settings. So in this case, again with the page builders, you don't need to have a separate plugin. It's all bundled in with the theme for this one. Now, to get to that, well, there's also a documentation on how to implement it. So that's a link at the bottom, and I'll put all the links in the meetup afterwards. So in here, you go to the customizer. So the customizer is the way to configure the Astra theme for the most part for this related post. So you navigate to the single post option, and you'll see a toggle for the enabling the related posts. So that's where the arrow is pointing to. And within the customizer, you can change the display settings for the related posts. You can change the alignment, the number of posts to show, the number of columns in a grid, for example. So if your theme has the option for related posts, you may want to consider using that rather than installing maybe a plugin that might cause a bit of a conflict with that. So there's some options. So from page builders, for themes that you might have a related post section in there as well. Now, on to plugins. Let's see if I can fit here. Yes, I can. There we go. So this is the first of the plugins. Most WordPress users will opt for using a plugin to display related posts. A dedicated plugin usually has more options to control how the related posts are displayed on the front end of the website. So we had a quick look at the Astra one, the slide before. It didn't have too many options. You could change the number of posts, you could change the grid layout, you could change the alignment. That's about it. When you're dealing with a plugin, then there's usually a whole heap more options that you can do with this. Now, Jetpack. Jetpack is one of the most downloaded plugins for WordPress Stat, but it also provides this kind of smorgasbord of features for your WordPress website, including a related post module. So there's a documentation down the bottom. You can see the URL jetpack.com support related posts. That will just tell you, how you can implement that using this Jetpack plugin. Now, the Jetpack related post module scans and analyzes all your posts using its custom algorithm. They don't tell us what it is, but it is actually very good. I've used this on many a website. I used to run Jetpack on my websites for many, many years, and I used this particular related posts plugin module, and it worked very, very well for many years. Now, if you want to show the related post somewhere other than the end of your blog, you can use the related post block in the block editor. So when you install Jetpack, and if you enable this related post, then you get one of these guys. And this is the related post block. Now, if you want to show the related post somewhere, somewhere else, so other than just underneath the main post on the single post page, which is where most of the related posts are usually shown. So if you may want it on a sidebar, or you want it on a particular page or a particular section, then you can use this block here. Let's get rid of myself. There we go. Now, the advantage of using Jetpack's related post module is that it runs the computational algorithm in the cloud, not on your server. So it squidges all the information up into their own servers, and it uses that algorithm to determine which posts are related. It all does that in the cloud, so it's not adding any strain onto your server at all. And you can see here with the related post block, there's a few options at the side for here. So you can display thumbnails, you can display the date, display the context, so it's a category or tag, and the number of posts to display. And there's an advanced tag down there. They can just add CSS and stuff like that. So it's not got an overwhelming number of options for this, and as well when you're configuring, the main block, the main display block as well, there's not a lot of configuration you can do. Most of the changes you'll do with CSS, but there's not a lot of change you can do with, for example, the grid layout or exactly how it's computing those related posts for those. Now, the downside of Jetpack for that is that you've got these less options, really. So the plus side is it does all the algorithm changes in the cloud, and the downside is you just not got that many options to change, exactly what it's displaying when it comes to related posts. So here is another option for you. This one is called Yet Another Related Post Plugin, or YARP. So you can find it here at the WordPress plugin repository, and the URL is there for you. Just have a look at that banner, make sure it's the right one that you're installing. Now, this one here, this display option allows you to choose the output as a list or a grid of thumbnails, or even your own custom PHP template designer. And that's really quite unique. From all the plugins that I had a look to see, all the related post plugins I reviewed for this little quickies. This one was rather unique in the fact that it had that ability for you to be able to custom build your own PHP template within the plugin itself. So there's the three options. You can have a list, so a bullet point list, and that might be handy if you're including it in a particular page or a sidebar or something. You can have the standard thumbnail grid that people are probably most familiar with, or you can build your own custom PHP template. And I think that's really, really cool. Now you can see at the top here, automatically displays related content on, and you can choose. So posts, pages, media, it's got call to actions. There must be a call to action post type. So it will pick up on your post type. So for example, if you have WooCommerce installed, it will display the product post type at the top here, and you can choose to display related content on that. You can display it on the front end page, such your home page, your category page, or your just archive pages. And again, it allows you to choose the number of posts to display in that related. What you want to do is with a related post, you don't want to give the user 1,000 million choices to do. Generally 4 or 6 or 3 or something really good related posts, because you don't want to give them too much option. They can just freak out and not know which one to choose and go off somewhere else. So keep your related posts rather small in offering. And again, this plugin has options to change the heading, the default image URL. Then there's the thumbnail sizes. There's also, it can generate missing thumbnails size as well. And there's an extra few options there as well. So you've got quite a better granular control as to what is output just using this plugin, as opposed to if you're using the theme or if you're using Jetpack. Now, the settings, they allow you to specify what post types, I say, but they also allow you to kind of alter the algorithm almost. So this is how the YARP plugin is displaying the related posts, and you can then add stuff and exclude stuff to that, building up, from their algorithm. So in this one, you got the post types you can include. You can disallow by category, so you can uncheck categories for there, or you can uncheck tags as well. So if you want things that are not being displayed in that particular related post block, then you can make sure they're not in there. Now, this might be really useful if you're displaying the related posts on, for example, a category archive. You really only want to maybe display those posts that are in that particular taxonomy and not anything from anything else for those. You've got some options down the bottom. You can display password protected posts or sticky posts, or you can limit the value. So maybe you only want to display the related posts within the last 6 months, your recent stuff, maybe the last quarter. Then you can display posts just in that particular time period, which is really, really cool for those. And here we go. We can tweak the algorithm a little bit. So in this one here, as part of the settings, the last bit of the settings, you can choose the threshold. So that's a number that's going to bring back. You can choose the titles. So you can consider the titles with extra weight or less weight. So what that's telling the algorithm is look at the significance of the title of the post, and we want to have that as like a main factor in the algorithm. Or it might not be. Maybe you want to look at the excerpt or the content first over the title. So you have a little control over how the algorithm, it will then figure out what posts are related to the main post that you're looking for. So I do like this plugin. I played around with it quite a bit, and it was really successful in figuring out what posts were related to the main post that I was looking at, and it had a really, really good high success rate for that. This is just a graphic that was on their website, on their documentation website. It's a Star Wars blog. I think it's the official Star Wars blog. And it seems to have the YARP plugin running on that. So here we've got related articles. In the bottom, it just shows you an example of how it's displayed, kind of in the traditional way. So this is the grid layout where you've got the thumbnail and the title underneath, and you just click on it and it goes to that article. So there we go. There's a roundup of how to display related posts on your WordPress website. Unfortunately, it's not in core. So if you're looking at for a WordPress core, there's no related articles module or anything in the core. You've got to install either a page builder. So most page builders will come with a query block or a related post block that you can just drag and drop into anywhere on your template designs to use that. We had a look at a theme, particularly Astra. Astra comes with a related post plugin, but it's very kind of limited in what you can do. And then we had a look at a couple of plugins. Jetpack, the first one, that's the most popular plugin, one of the most popular plugins for WordPress. And 9 out of 10 times, you'll find it installed on a client website. So you might want to use that in preference to install a separate plugin. And then last, we had a look at the YARP plugin, which offers a lot more functionality than perhaps the theme or perhaps Jetpack, in the way that you can control what's output to screen and how the algorithm works in the related posts as well. So in summary, there's no downside I can see for having a related post section on your single blog post. It increases your visitor engagement, it decreases your bounce rate, it helps you engage with all your visitors by recycling your content, by looking at your old content as well, and kind of generally displaying information and content for the visitors that they should find it useful with. So I can't see very many downsides for using that. So if you're not having if you don't have a display related posts section on your website, on your blog, maybe consider one of these options and add that in, and just see if you can maybe increase your engagement rate, maybe increase the time on site as well in your Google Analytics. If you have any questions about this, you can drop them in the chat right now, and I'll do my very best to answer those. If not, or while waiting for questions, if there are some coming through, you can connect with me. So connect with me on willbrown.com, my new website, or on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter, and the handles are there on screen at the moment. I can't see any questions coming through, and that is fine. So I'm going to say for next week, please join me. I'm going to be talking about smart business goals for 2023. Now, if you follow me across multiple streams, you'll notice that this is going to be a common theme that I'm going to be sharing in WPQuickies and the WP and WordPress Sydney Meetup and the Elementor Meetup group. So I'm going to be covering smart business goals for 2023 in various different formats, but we'll do a quick one next week. So if you want to join me next week, then please do. Next Thursday, same time, and this will be the last one for the year. is Smart Business Goals for 2023. And it's a bit of a workshop one. I know we've only got 30 minutes, but I want to do a little bit of a workshop with you. So get a bit of paper and a pencil ready for next week for those. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining me on this afternoon. And I'll see you next week in talking about Smart Business Goals for 2023. Bye, everyone.